you everyone for joining the call today. Welcome to another session of the Young Professionals Network with our speaker for today, Ruth Agwulobi. Do you mind? Thank you very much, Ruth, for joining the call today. And without much ado, we already got introduced to you via the video. I hope everyone enjoyed the video that we played earlier. Ruth Agwulobi is our speaker today, and I'm just going to read quickly about her bio. But before then, I'm going to do a few housekeeping for the YPN. So this is the Young Professionals Network, and what we do is create a community of like minds, of young professionals who are navigating their relationship and career life and how they're improving themselves in these areas. So we bring them together under the YPN body to share their own story, and so that we can learn from their experiences as well. And today, Ruth is our speaker, and she's going to talk on strategic partnership and global development as a young professional. So if you have questions whilst we're going through the call today, you can use the Q&A function on Zoom, or you can leave your questions on the chat box. I do have some prearranged questions for you, Ruth, that I will go through, after which I'll open it up for everyone else to ask questions. Also, please do not forget to follow the Young Professionals Network on all social media platforms. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we also have a YouTube channel. And if you have suggestions, if you have any questions that you want to pose to the Young Professionals Network, you can also send us an email at the ypnnetwork.com. So, yeah. So, let me introduce you again, Ruth. Ruth graduated from the University of Benin. That's actually my alma mater as well. We got into school the same time. She has a degree in nursing. That's interesting. She has a degree in nursing, and then she also has an MSc in public health from the Global Health Institute for Disease and Infection Control in Nigeria. Also, Ruth is looking to do a PhD at the Johns Hopkins University here in the US. She currently works as a strategic partner and fundraising associate at the Water Aid country office in Abuja, Nigeria. She works for a London-based international non-governmental organization called Water Aid, and they have like a country office in Abuja, Nigeria. So that's where she currently works, and she read nursing and did a master's in public health, but also looking to do a PhD as well in that same field, I assume. So Ruth, do you mind introducing yourself to us? I do know that there are so much more to you, the Nelson Mandela Fellowship, all of the other beautiful things that you've done, achieve her. There's so much more to you. So do you mind introducing yourself to us today?
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity to come speak with amazing young people, Nancy. My name is Ruth, so like Nancy has rightly mentioned, Ruth Agwulobi. And at the simplest level, I just turn ideas into funded impact. And like she rightly mentioned as well, we both went to university at the same period in University of Benin. And basically, I currently work in strategic partnership and resource mobilization, which means I sit at the intersection of vision and financing. So converting your vision to then getting the money to finance the vision. So when an organization has a bold idea, when you have something to deliver to the world, like a development project or social impact project, whether it's primary healthcare, expanding water access, or empowering women economically, my job is to help you secure the funds, the partnership, and the system that makes the vision real. So over the last few years, I have supported, like the video you rightly saw, I have supported mobilization and operationalization of I've seen over $20 million donor portfolio and partner funding and across African contexts in Benin Republic, in Ghana, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Liberia, and other African contexts. But beyond the numbers, I wouldn't want to reel out all what the video has said and talk about my academics and stuff. But beyond the numbers, what excites me about all of what I do is the fact that I can translate funding into real systems. I could literally see what I do and the impacts that what I do can bring to the world. So systems that help strengthen the human capital, that protect service community and improve the quality of life of women and youth. That is what excites me. And I see these things practically in how this funding is translated into impact and real-time changes. And this is what excites me. So some people might say, oh, how did you find yourself from nursing into fundraising and resource mobilization and development? So I have always been very interested. I'm really not like clinical nursing. Clinical nursing has never been my thing. I studied nursing, yes. I'm also a midwife as well, but when I got into school in my sophomore year, I took a step back and I just told myself that, you know what, I was a first class student, by the way. I said, you know what, there is more to life than just going to school, coming back like a triangle. I was going to school, coming back, going to school, coming back, and all of that. It wasn't, I felt there was more I could give to life. And then I met with a friend that was into personal development, and she told me about this organization called ISEC. And now you're hearing about the young professional programs. Please ensure that whatever stage of life you're in and you hear about these networks that can help you grow and develop yourself. So I heard about ISEC and I got involved. ISEC took me to most of the African countries that I've been, where I got engaged in impact work around the SDGs. I knew about the SDGs and I started working. And then I got interested in public health when I was in school. I never knew anything about public health until I joined the network and I started understanding my purpose. I started getting self-awareness, understanding what I want out of life. And at the end of the day, I found that I was interested in public health and I was interested in partnership as well. So I looked for the nexus between all of them. So what can I do that can make me excited and wake up every morning? So I told myself that, okay, I'm very good at partnerships and stakeholder management and resource mobilization. I could help finance projects that help to push the narrative around public health system strengthening, as well as primary health care funding. So, and that's how I got into resource mobilization. So resource mobilization sits at the intersection between strengthening health system and ensuring that these systems are sustainable even beyond their funding cycle. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. That's such a very profound introduction because I was also like, wondering like public health, nursing, and now strategic partnership. But like even having you explain the connection and interconnectedness between those competencies. Like, so even though you did nursing, your work right now is still in nursing. You're just like looking or like, doing resource mobilization, health financing for women and children. So thank you very much. And you didn't mention anything about Achieve Her. You want to talk about like Achieve Her? I know that
Okay.
that's your favorite too.
Okay. So before I talk about Achieve Her, I want to also mention that where I currently work, which is Water Aid Nigeria, we do everything around water, sanitation, and hygiene. And what we do is we work with partners like from private sector institution donors like the World Bank, African Union, and a couple of institutional donors to provide water, sanitation, and hygiene to women, underserved children, and communities that don't have access to water, which is very, very important. One of the key central focus of public health is water. When we have infected water, it affects everything down to maternal and child health mortality, diarrhea, a lot of public health issues come out from water sanitation hygiene. So I am still in the space of public health, and what I do, I serve in the partnership and fundraising team. So you get the nexus right. And then for Achieve Her is a very passionate aspect of me. I started Achieve Her when my mom, it was born out of the story of my mom. My mom's mother lost a set of twin from not being able to access good clinic facility where she the kids died. So I told myself that I would fight for the justice of women across all areas and across all sectors within economic empowerment, leadership empowerment. So what we do at Achiever is we focus on economic empowerment, gender justice against violence, that's gender-based violence. We also work around education empowerment for women, and of course, leadership empowerment. We're currently working with organizations to push that agenda. And this year and last year, we worked with the Ministry of Youth to pad over 1,000 young ladies and also teach them about sexual and reproductive health and rights as well as their mental health. So we do a lot around Achieve Her. So yes, thank you.
So thank you very much. So my next question is going to actually come in two folds because like I hear you talk about like, what you do with Achieve Her. We hear you talk about like health financing. We also hear you talk about like, your competency in strategic management. And you also mentioned the fact that you were in your sophomore year at the University of Benin when you decided you didn't just want to be, going to class and be coming back. So my question is this, first of all, what is strategic partnership? What is health financing? Because it looks very, one can look at him like, what does that mean? What is like your day-to-day in your office? And then what has your journey looked like so far? Like that clarity that you got when you were in your 200 level at the University of Benin, how has it shaped you over time? Like how have you been able to like fully develop yourself around that sphere till now?
Okay. So I'm going to start from my journey. My journey has was not accidental at all. It has not been accidental. It was built on curiosity and conviction. Early in my career, I worked closely with like I told you, I was in ISEC, right? And we did a lot of projects in communities in IDP camp. So where I worked around sexual and reproductive health and rights and community programs. And when I saw something that changed me was when I saw brilliant ideas everywhere. There was passion everywhere. But there was funding gap. I saw that there was a funding gap and it was a silent barrier. It was a silent problem. And I felt, how can we change this problem? How can we ensure that all of these development projects have the necessary funding and the necessary driver to get from point A to point B and to also scale. I realized something powerful that whether you're doing water, sanitation, and hygiene in public health or health is helping to improve economic productivity or education is helping economic mobility, all of this, none of this can scale without financing. None of this can scale without financing. That's the moment it clicked on me that you have to understand financing and partnership, not just being in the room where all these programs are being effected. You are shaping what is possible as a partnership and a finance person. You're shaping what is possible because the possibility of a young girl having access to go to school in a community where there is no water for her to attend to her menstrual needs in school, it's affecting her future, it's affecting her health, it's affecting a lot of things. But the possibility of that happens when partners come together and when there is funding, when funding is possible. So funding can come in different angles and different means. One defining moment was contributing to resource mobilization efforts is majorly for me is it's around health, improving health. So that's why I try to connect whatever I do, although I am a full development expert, but I try to connect whatever I do to health mobilization effort that directly improve health outcome and strengthen delivery systems in health. So seeing how structured partnership between government, donors, private sector actors can unlock impacts. Just seeing all of those taught me that taught me the truth about collaboration, and that when we collaborate together as whether you are a government stakeholder or you are a donor or whatever you are, if we collaborate together, you would see the real multiplier. Because it's when one person is working, you cannot see the multiplier effect. But if we're working together, you see the real impact. So global development is not about charity. It's not about, oh, I am giving or you're collecting money to do work. It's about economic impact. It's about creating systems that lead to real change in the community. And it's about designing systems that last beyond the project cycle. So that's the realization that has actually shaped my path. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that's such a profound response to the question. And I really, really like that because you talked about like passion and you talked about like seeing a gap that you're closing right now with your current, career trajectory. And that's actually very, very important for us as young professionals to imbibe in ourselves. Most times, a lot of young professionals think that you have to like be part of the bandwagon, meaning you have to join something that's already created. Whereas as a young professional, you can actually close gaps, right? So for you and in your own particular and unique case, you had the opportunity to go to these rural areas, right? And you saw that there was passion everywhere. This is exactly your word. But then there was funding gap, and that's why you're deciding to, tailor your career in public health and nursing to strategic partnership, fundraising associates, so that you can close that gap. It's the same thing that I'm doing right now with the Young Professionals Network because, like, when I was in school in 2021, I was graduating and I was asking myself, what next? What do I do with my life? Everyone expects you to know what to do with life, right? But it's actually not that easy. So I was also looking, like, many young professionals will do now, be looking for like organizations to join. For you, you saw ISEC, right? And that was why you joined ISEC, and ISEC helped to tailor your journey to what it is today. But I didn't find any network or any organization that was going to speak directly to what I wanted out of life, right? And that was why I decided to create the Young Professionals Network. So the takeaway essentially is you have to, have that can do mindset, meaning you also have to know that you can create something that people would, buy into. If you see a gap in the society, as a young professional, you are not too young, you are not inexperienced to create that gap. It could come in the form of what the YPN is doing right now, like creating a community where people can come and engage. Or it could come in the form of what Ruth is doing right now, right? Which is like designing your career or crafting your career to closing that gap that you've seen. So thank you so much, Ruth, for that beautiful response. And I think the next question, you already started alluding to the next question I was going to ask because the next question is about like impact and values, right? About like your purpose and values. I think your purpose is already very clear. We see that you're very passionate about like closing the gap between public health and public health financing, right? So we see you already tailoring your career around that part. But like, what are the values? Because like, it's not very easy that you find a 200 level student at the University of Benin say, I don't just want to be a clinical nurse, I want to do something else. It's not common to find out. And for you to have been able to have that orientation early on and build your career from that point up until this time, there has to be something, there has to be like guiding principles, that made that possible. So the next question is, what are the values that you have had to develop over time in your career as a resource mobilizer, in your career as a public health financier, and also as a young professional navigating all the dilemmas that we face in the society? What are the values that you have had to design and create for yourself?
Okay, please confirm you can hear me. Okay, thank you. So for me, I have a lot of value as a person, like by principle, by default, I have a lot of values that I live by, but there is one central value for me, which is legacy. So I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, what, how can I leave the world better? How can I die empty? How can I give off everything that God has given to me? How can I ensure that everything that I have to give to the world, there is nothing left in me when I am dying, that I give everything. So one of my value, Nancy, is legacy. I am deeply, deeply aware that my time here is limited. And I ask myself constantly that what system can I strengthen? What impact can I make? What real change can I make? And though I'm passionate about health, I'm passionate about women, I'm passionate about youth, yes, I'm passionate about all of this, but how can I ensure that whatever I am doing as a human being is translating into change, is translating into an impact. I'm leaving a legacy for myself. So my values are actually rooted in integrity, in stewardship, and then in impact. If I if I help mobilize resources, these resources translate into something tangible, right? It's either clean water is provided in a community where there is no water at all, where they've never seen water, or clinic is functional in a primary healthcare setting where women give birth to children with candles and there is no light or power source, or young people are stepping into leadership and youth can now move from uncertainty to opportunities to hope. Purpose for me is not like the emotional type. It is discipline, commitment to measurable change. That is it for me. So purpose for me is asking myself, what is the next big change that I can make? What is the next big gap that I can close? And for me, all of this value, I started finding out about this value when rightly mentioned when I was in my sophomore year, when I was in 200 level. And this value has guided me that if I am done with this thing now, I am all asking myself, what is the next big thing I can do? What is the next change that I can make? I don't settle, Nancy. I don't settle. I'm always reinventing myself. I'm always asking myself, what can I do to become better? What can I do to become a better version of myself? And there is one thing that young people always do, because this is the young professional network, right? There's one thing young people always do is comparison. Comparison and jealousy in itself, it's not a bad thing. But if you compare yourself and then pick out the silver lining in that comparison and ask yourself, what is in that person that the person is doing rightly that I can do to help myself? And translate that jealousy into refining, redefining, and unlearning what you need to unlearn and relearning to become a better version of yourself. That is the best way to go. So your values should be shaped in areas that are either leading to impact or leading to redefining yourself and keep becoming what a better version of yourself. I don't know if I was able to answer your question very well,
Oh my
Nancy.
gosh, you outdid yourself, girl. Yeah, of course. I really, really love that because like everything I hear you say is like your value is rooted in purpose. Like you have been able to define yourself or define your purpose to the point that you know that what you want to leave behind is legacy.
Yes.
That in itself is all encompassing, and that is actually very, very powerful. And then from legacy comes all the other attributes of discipline, integrity. I really, really love that, and not many people have that, and that's why we're learning from you, like learning early on to ask yourself as a young professional, what are my values? What do I want to leave behind? What do I want to be remembered for? And guess what? It doesn't have to be something so grand. Your values or your principle or the thing that you want out of life could just be to get married and have kids. That in itself is purpose. That in itself is legacy. And you can also be like Ruth and me, who says we want to leave something behind. We want to, look back and say, I am dying empty. But the point is, you have to absolutely have to define that which you want out of life. And I'll also share a quick story. prior to now, I think I also just wanted to, finish my undergrad, get a good paying job that'll pay me in the millions in Nigeria, get married and have kids. And that was it for me. But then 2020 happened. I think I have this on my personal page. I have this story on my personal page. When 2020 happened, I just knew that that future that I wanted for myself, I cannot achieve it with the current client that we have. And then that was when I decided to reinvent myself according to what you said. Like as a young professional, you're always reinventing yourself. Like you are never static. You can be here today and then you do something else tomorrow. It's totally fine. It's totally okay to do that. I reinvented myself and said, you know what? I want to be in the public. And that now is driving everything that I do. It's easier to make decisions because you know your purpose is driving you, your legacy is driving you. And you said a lot of other beautiful things. I really like what you said about like, youth are now moving from uncertainty to opportunities. That in itself is another webinar that we would come to because I'm very passionate about youth, right? I consider myself a youth as well. So like I'm very passionate about youth, creating a space for us all to navigate. For I will just quickly move on to the next question because we have so much more to talk about and we also want to open it up to questions. Please, if you have questions as we are going on this call, you can use the Q&A function on Zoom, or you can leave your questions in the chat box and we'll get to those questions shortly. So Ruth, listening to you and listening to myself and also like, knowing us, knowing ourselves, like it's very evident that you said it's very clear what you want out of life and you know it. But then the society also like has expectations of you, right? As a youth, you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a friend, you're a partner. There are other sides to you. You're a church group member, right? So there are other aspects to you that people have expectations of. So that's my next question. So as a young professional, how are you able to like bridge that gap, close the gap between your career, your purpose, your legacy, and then your spirituality, your relationship life, like your life outside of like your career? How are you able to close that gap or like find the balance to the point that, everything is in sync?
Okay. Thank you so much, Nancy. This is a very, very important question, and thank you for that beautiful question. So, um, ambition is very loud. Ambition is loud. Like, I remember when I was starting out, my God, my head would want to explode on some nights because my head would be running on, according to my friend, he would say my head is running on all cylinders. My head would be firing on all cylinders, like ideas running through my mind because I am young, I am energetic, I am passionate. So a lot of ideas. And of course, the world is loud as well. If you turn to every social media page, you're seeing either this is happening or that is happening. Things are happening in the world, and the world is so noisy. Expectations are then heavy in your mind. My sister was talking to me the other day, and it was like there is this young girl. She said she needs somebody to speak to. She has a lot on her mind. Her parents are not giving her listening ears, and she needs. So, my dear, it just brings me back to what I'm trying to say, that expectations are heavy. Like, you're done with school, it's expected that you get a good job, you get a good husband, you're doing so well in life and all of that. Especially when you are navigating an international space like mine, early as mine. I am less than how many years out of school, and I have gotten to almost mid to a senior level career in my in the international space. And what has helped me is alignment. My career, my faith, my relationships, my ambition must not compete with each other. I used to talk with, I was speaking with a friend the other day, and he said, balance is all about prioritization. What is working per time and what needs to work per season? So they must work, they must support each other. So at this point, I am giving time to my family. At this point, I'm giving time to my career. At this point, I need to give time to relationship. I need to invest in relationship, whether you're investing in your family relationship or you're investing in the opposite sex relationship. But you have to understand that one must not suffer. You must not bury yourself so much in work that you're not investing in relationship. Even in mentorship relationship, I prioritize mentorship a lot. I have like up to 5 mentors for different things in my life. And I also protect my mental space. I'm very intentional about rest. I don't joke with my rest. People that know me knows that when it comes to my sleep time, I take it. I sleep when I need to sleep. And I remind myself that growth is not about a race. It's not a race. It's a rhythm. You know how a rhythm works. It goes to and fro. It goes when this is necessary, you do it. When this is necessary, you do it. It goes like this, like that, like this, like that. So it doesn't go like across at the same time. So it's a rhythm, it's not a race. So you have to ensure that you are taking it a step at a time, a step at a time. What needs to be prioritized per time? So you can be globally relevant and still stay grounded and still be balanced. It is possible. Don't allow anybody to tell you it's not possible. It is very, very possible to be globally relevant, I beg your pardon, and still stay very, very grounded and have a balanced life. So staying grounded for me, it means remembering who you are before the titles, before the noise, before everything, connecting the dots to yourself. And it means building real relationship. Invest in relationship. I don't joke with my relationships. I invest in them, not just professional network, but also maritally. You have to invest in relationship. If this relationship doesn't work, try the next relationship and do it prayerfully, because I believe so much in my faith. I believe so much in God and in Jesus. So I always do mine prayerfully. So ensure that what success means to you, it's not only visibility. Success doesn't only revolve around visibility. Ensure that you are also giving substance and depth. That is one thing I preach about. Ensure you are also giving substance and depth. So balance is not, one thing I want to end with is that balance is not accidental at all. Balance is not accidental, it is engineered. You have to engineer balance. You have to work intentionally balance. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I was just scribbling down, like I was gonna take down because like I'm learning. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I was going to write the last thing that you said, where you said balance is not accidental, it is what engineered. Oh, I hope you guys are taking notes because I'm taking notes and so thank you so much for sharing that because like wow, in a few minutes you've been able to distill this big thing that because like it's a big boulder for people. It's so huge. This thing that you have just like, broken down into this simple step. And I'm gonna just like reiterate it so that we are able to internalize. So for us or for you, balance or in all this aspects of your life is about alignment, right? Meaning, and you said something, you said that your career, your faith, your relationship, and your ambition should not what compete with each other. Instead, they should support each other. Somebody should write that down because, like, oh my gosh, I also like I've had that, and I didn't even think about it like this. Like I was not able to fully conceptualize it like this, the way you have done it. But this is what I do in my life because I also have that same thing. People feel to me, or people tell me. I think I shared the story with you. People tell me I feel like when they see me, the only thing they see about me is my career, whereas I'm so much more than my career. And all these other aspects of my life, my relationship, my faith, my spirituality, my ambition, they all sum total to make me Nancy, to make me who I am, right? And I really like what you said about like these parts of your life supporting each other as against competing with them. And then you also then went for that to say, not only do you have to know that they are in alignment, you also have to know how to nurture those aspects of your life. Meaning you have to know when to like pick up your phone and call your parents. I mean, we're talking about this the other day. Call your parents, call your spouse, call your partner, or reach out to that your friend that you've not like spoken to for a while, and just like nurture this relationship in your life. You also mentioned like being prayerful, like anything that you're doing, like also submitting it to God, and then knowing when to rest, rest to me is part of work. Like resting is part of working. So like people say, if you sleep
Yes,
7 hours in a day,
important.
you are
Yes,
going to be poor.
yes,
No,
it's
if you're sleeping,
very
you are working.
important.
Yeah. So like knowing when to
Mhm.
rest. And then the next thing that you then said was how to then sum everything into one. Like all this has to be taken in stride, one step at a time. And you can do it. We're doing it, right? You have been able to find balance because people look at me and say, oh, Nancy, you're doing A, you're doing B, you're doing C, you're doing E. How are you able to? Right? People are concerned for me because they feel like it's so much. You're doing this, I'm working, I'm doing my master's, I'm here doing the Young Professionals Network. But then this is what I do. Structure. This is what I do. Like having that structure, have knowing what
Bring
you should be
structure to
doing
place.
per
Yes, what we
time.
should prioritize per time. Yes.
Exactly. And then it could be something as simple as when you wake up in the morning. What I do when I wake up in the morning, in fact, let me scratch that. Before I go to bed every night, I have a note on my desk where I write my to do for the next day. Everything that I'm going to do up until like
That's beautiful.
writing have lunch, I will
Yeah,
write that
yeah.
down. So that
Very
structure
important.
would help you. And then you're able to
So
like,
aligned.
churn out
Yes.
because like you're in your prime as a youth, right? As a young professional, you're
There's a
in your
lot.
prime, right? So this is the time the Bible says, cast your bread onto the sea and it will come back to you. So this is the time of sowing. This is the time of casting your
Yes.
bread onto the sea. You can do it and not burn out. And this is the way, this is the alignment or the structure that Ruth is telling us today. And knowing what to do per time, also prioritizing rest, prioritizing sleep, and knowing that growth is not a race. This is for me to hear. It is a rhythm. I'm gonna just like end there. Thank you so much, Ruth. I do have one more
You're
question
welcome.
before I open
Okay.
it up to Q&A for everyone else. I'm so sorry that we're almost to time, but like when you're having nice conversations like this, time runs. The last question that I have is, Ruth, if you could speak to yourself when you were younger, much more younger than when you were in your 200 level, like maybe very young in like maybe your secondary school days and the rest. And then by extension, if you could speak to us as the members of the Young Professionals Network, what advice would you give us about like dreaming big and pursuing international careers without fear? I do have context for this question, but like I'm just gonna leave it like so. If you need me to like explain more, I can.
So this question is usually it's usually tricky for me because anytime people say, what do you say to your younger self? I'm like, okay, my younger self, my younger self. Because my younger self was very ambitious. My younger self was super ambitious and very aware. I would say I was lucky to be aware on time. So in all, for my younger self, I would say thank you. First of all, thank you for being ambitious. Thank you for driving yourself so hard and learning and unlearning what you have right now. I would also say to my younger self, keep dreaming big, but start where you are. Build credible relationships. Seek feedback and don't be afraid to step into spaces you have or you see the potential for growth, right? And then lastly, I would say to my younger self that my unique path can only be shaped by my courage and my willingness to learn. So one thing I would also want to say to us in retrospect would be change is important. This is not to my younger self now, Nancy. I don't know if you can hear me, if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Please confirm. Change,
Yes.
change is important. I remember Nancy was saying something the other day that there are a lot of noise and there are lots of things that young people want to do. Some young people, you see them today, they're in education space. Tomorrow you see them, they're in climate. Next tomorrow you see they're doing something around blue collar job, or they're doing something around entrepreneurship, or they'll tell you they want to start their business. They're confused. I would say no matter what, just keep testing the waters. We have the time. we have the energy, we have the passion. I was there at some point where I was testing all the waters, understanding what is for me. Because until, Nancy, until you test the waters, you will not know what is for you. So when people keep telling you that, oh, you are doing this, you are everywhere, you tell them, I am trying to understand who I am. I have the time, so allow me to be everywhere. So when I see young people doing a lot of things, I don't question them because I understand that these things come with stages and it comes with different seasons of your life. So there will be a season where you understand what works for you and what you have the purpose for, and then you go for it. So I would say, lastly, as we wrap up, that don't shrink your ambition to fit into your environment. Don't do that. But also do not wait for permission to grow. I'd said this speaking to my younger self. I think, yeah, I've said that. Don't wait for permission. I have to slouch, or I have to wait for somebody to come and tell me, oh, you have to do this and do that. I told Nancy that when I was done with uni, I told my parents that I was packing my bag and going to coming to the city capital, and they were like, "You don't have anybody there. You don't have any money. How can you do that?" I told my mom, I said I would go. I don't know, I'll figure it out. And I figured it out. Like, take the most
And you're still
audacious step.
figuring it out. You're still
And I am
figuring it
still figuring it out, Nancy. I am still figuring it out. So take the most audacious step. Some of the steps are illogical. That's why I keep reiterating about the aspect of alignment with your faith. Ensure you are aligned to God, or you are aligned to Allah, or you are aligned to whatever being you serve. For me, I am aligned to my God. And once he says go, Nancy, I go because I know he's with me. You get right. So the international space is not reserved. I'm saying this from my own career perspective. Going global, the international space, it's not reserved for any special category of people, Nancy. They are built for those that want to develop competence, that want to develop and cultivate relationship, and they want to consistently up their game and be prepared for opportunity. They are always doing their best to become their best. They're always on their toe. So, like I said, when I was talking to my younger self, start from where you are. Volunteer strategically. Okay, I think I want to be in public health. Let me volunteer in public health. Let me volunteer in courses that has to do with education, or let me volunteer in courses that has to do with youth development, so that we understand what works for me and what doesn't. So it's very important to volunteer strategically, build skills that would travel beyond borders. Like I can work in Cote d'Ivoire or Liberia tomorrow in the development sector. Please confirm you can hear me. I'm receiving a signal that there is a low
Yeah.
system resource affecting my audio quality. Okay.
Yeah, it was breaking,
I think
but we
they
can hear you
just
now. Just like continue. We can hear you.
okay. Okay. So you heard when I said the volunteer strategically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So build skills that help you that helps that travels beyond borders. I beg your pardon. So the skills I have can transcend beyond development sector. I can work in consulting as a business development partner. I can work in nursing, a clinical nurse. I can be a midwife. So, like you said, being a young person is the best time of your life. And there are plethora of opportunities. Life comes to you like a buffet. All you can do is pick as
Pick.
much skill, garner as much
There's
skill
no
as
skill that's
possible.
wasted. Nothing. Yeah.
Understand systems, Nancy. Try your best to understand system. Some people, they're talking about GDP, they can't contribute they can't contribute in the conversation. When
Yeah.
they're talking about development and geopolitics, they can't contribute because they don't understand the systems.
Yeah.
Understand financing, understand what it means to draft policies and plan policies and implement frameworks. Make yourself useful in things that matter.
Oh,
It is very, very important. And most importantly, do not be intimidated by global spaces. You hear, oh, I am global. There is nothing about global that is intimidating. Trust me. I've been in rooms. I was out. I was just telling Nancy that I had to run out from the UN house from a meeting. And then the person that followed me for that meeting was like, "Oh my God, this is the first time I'm coming for this engagement." To be in the UN house. Oh my God, this is the place I want to retire. And I'm like, I don't want you to retire here. I
Wow.
want you to retire probably in the World Bank or an international development organization. And the person was looking at me weirdly. Why was I saying this? It's because I've worked with them and I know that it's just not. It's this is
Say it, girl. Say
beautiful,
it. Say
perfectly
it. Don't
said.
worry.
So, but what I'm trying to say in essence is there are some places until you try the waters and you keep growing into these rooms, you would see that sometimes you can grow beyond these global platforms.
Mm-hmm.
You can grow beyond them. There was an illustration that my pastor gave in church last Sunday. He said something that when he went to the village, that he saw some children playing in the waters, swimming in deep waters, children of 8, 9, 10, in deep waters. They would stay in the water for like 10 minutes. That's the riverine area of Nigeria. And then these children, all they want is just probably a pen or a book or their next meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
These children are not thinking of being an Olympic champion. They are not thinking about that. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some people that have been exposed to that level that their mindset is not about their next meal. Their mindset is all about how can I influence
Purpose.
global systems around swimming, around aquaculture, and all of that.
Mm.
So until you are in those kind of environments, your mind will not go beyond. So it is important for you to make yourself useful in the global systems and in rooms that matter. And most importantly, before I close, do not be intimidated, like I said, by global spaces. They are filled with people who once started exactly where you are. They started just like you. So dream big. And yes, but put your dream with discipline, like put your back on the ground and do the
Do
work
the work.
and do the grind. Like make yourself very useful and put in the work. You can't just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I want to be in the global space," and you find yourself there. You have to work hard. You have to burn the midnight candle. Sometimes I sleep by 5 a.m. I don't count it as anything because I know that I am investing into the
Investing in
future
the
that I
future.
want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because courage without preparation is noise. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
courage and I want to be manifesting and prophesying, telling yourself I want to be in these places without preparation. They say opportunity meets preparation. Opportunity can only meet the people who are prepared.
Prepared. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
please ensure you put in the work and then you're prepared when the opportunity knocks.
Oh
Thank you.
my God. Thank you so much, Ruth. And I was trying to see if I can recap everything that you said. I don't think I can. I don't think I can. That's so profound. And I would encourage everyone who joined the call a bit late to please, we're going to upload this session on YouTube. Please go back and watch it back. I mean, I feel like it's very, very intriguing and inspiring to hear from a young professional. Ruth is under 30, doing all these amazing things, having this type of a mindset. So it inspires you because, like, we're all young professionals on this call. So it would inspire you to also, say, I can do this because everything that you have said, I wrote it down on my notes, just exudes the can do mindset. So, as a young professional, have that can do mindset. Have it at the back of your mind that I can do it. Do not wait to be given fish. Tell people to teach you how to fish. And back to what Ruth said, these global spaces that you go into, I went to DC recently and I had the opportunity of visiting the State House, so the US State House, US State Department, where all the foreign services and civil services worked. And then I also had the opportunity of going to Deloitte. I went to the World Bank capital at the Washington, D.C. here in the US. And I bet you that I think Barack Obama said something like this. When you get into those spaces, you see that
Yes, it was Barack Obama. Yes.
Yeah, you would even see that. Well, I know more than this. Like, when you hear some of the people working there speak, you're like, well, I know this, or like, I even you can even know it better than them. Why are they there and are you here? It's because of
Yes.
opportunity, and it's because they are
Mhm.
seizing the opportunity. They are not self-selecting themselves out. They are not allowing their mindsets to limit their possibilities. When you get into those spaces, you would see that they constitute of people like you and people that you think you can even do more than, right? So don't be intimidated. And like Ruth is currently in Nigeria, but she's already has entered all these spaces, all these international spaces. So from the comfort of your home, you can actually go global. It's not some people when people look at, oh my God, what? No, don't be like that. If you have that can-do mindset, instead get into the rooms and meet people who are, who have gone ahead of you in the things that you want to do and tell them, put me on. And then don't limit your mindset like the friend that you said you have said they want to retire at the US. No, you can do so much more. You can do it. It is possible. There are young people who have done it. One of our speakers is also coming here. She is also so look out for that as well. I think she's after we have one speaker, then she's the second next speaker on the queue. Look out for her. She has gone places and from the comfort of her home in Nigeria. But you have to have that can do mindset as a young professional. And then your mindset, you don't even have to get into those spaces to grow your mindset from your home, from as you're in your room right now, wherever you're receiving this message from. Have that mindset that I can do it. And then start to apply yourself. That's every other thing that you said. When you said, do not shrink yourself, start to volunteer strategically, and doing your best to becoming your best, right? It looks like a lot, but it's actually not a lot. Ruth is doing it, and you still look very, healthy. You've been able to like find a balance, right? So you can do it. It is very, very possible. I mean, there's so much here that you have said, so much to unpack. Every little thing that you have said, like dream big, but start from where you are. Meaning it could just be like, oh, I want to be at the World Bank. I want to be working at IMF. That's your big end goal. Or I want to be the president of America, president of Nigeria. It's okay. Dream it. If you can dream it, you can achieve it, is my own philosophy in life. If you can already see it, I mean, when I go to bed every night, in fact, not even every night, every day of my life, I can see myself in my future. Like it is very clear. People who are around me, they know it because like it is very clear. The Bible, I think it was in isn't Habakkuk 2:2. I'm so sorry that we're referencing the Bible so much here, but like it could be any
Oh,
other
please don't be
religion. Then
sorry.
you
That's what you believe
um
in.
yeah, so like Habakkuk to say, like, write your dream and tell it out, let people know, speak it into existence. But then you also have to be strategic because, like, you have to then bring it down to, you know, your everyday. Like, what do I have to do today to get to where I want to get to in the next 10 years? Oh, it could just be get up from my bed, make a cup of coffee, go to school, go to work. But you have to have that big goal and then you now narrow it down
Future.
to your small short-term goals. It will help you, it will
Yes.
guide the things that you allow into your space, the kind of relationship. I think I've also said this in one of my videos, right? That's your purpose. It will trickle down into the core of who you are. When people see you, they just know that there is no fluff in you. Like you also mentioned, do not be empty. Do not be someone who has all this noise. But when people ask you now, okay, do the work, the opportunity comes to you. You are saying, oh,
No
I can do
depth.
it. When the opportunity then presents itself and then you fall short. No. So like do the work, educate yourself, like take courses, read. I really like what you said about like being able to contribute to any room you find yourself. If they're talking about finances,
Yes. Being
they're
being
talking
a
about
polymath is important. Know little of everything.
exactly. So being knowing a little of everything. Wow. I love that. That's who I am. Like, and I've been this way from when I was really young. Like elders could be talking, I will have something to say. Children will be talking, I will have something to say. Amongst my peer, I have something to say. So be that as well. And you can do it. We are doing it. Ruth is doing it as speaker today, under 30. She's doing it. She has this clarity of purpose, which is propelling every area of our life, of her life. So, meaning it is not unattainable. All you have to do is be disciplined. Be very disciplined. Start today, right? Right now, as you leave this call, the action item. that you should do for yourself is go and clarify your purpose. What is it that you truly want out of life? If God came down today, or if the being that you believe in came down today and say Babs, and say Aria, and say Alexander, and say Tolu, what is it that you want out of life? Tell me, what would be your response? That is what you should go and clarify today. Once you have that clarity of purpose, every other thing falls into place. I bet you. So thank you so much, Ruth. I mean, there's so much more that you have said. I would invite everyone, please go and watch the recording of this. I will be rewatching it. Oh, you don't know me, girl. I will be rewatching this multiple times to remind myself, like,
Thank you so much. Thank
yeah,
you
I
so
want
much
to
for
just,
having me here,
yeah,
Nancy.
I want to like quickly open it up if we have like any question at all for people to
Okay.
ask. You
Okay.
can raise your hand. You can use the React function on Zoom to raise your hand like this. If you have a question, you can drop it in the Q&A section or function on Zoom, or you can also leave it in the chat. While me and Ruth will just continue chatting on like, about like, life and everything in between. So if you have questions,
Um,
if you want to like speak, I can
so,
unmute you to speak, or you can write it in the chat, or you can use the Q&A function on Zoom. Either way works. And if you do not have questions, it means that Ruth was able to like answer all of your questions, or she was
the
so
question.
whilst that is going on, Ruth, I know that you have said so much. I mean, do you have like final words for us? I just like to hear you talk more and more.
Okay. And okay.
Yeah.
So someone has dropped a
Oh yeah,
question.
I just saw that. Alexander says, "Hello, Ruth. Thank you for that great talk. What's one legacy you would like to leave behind?"
Do you want to ask your question first, or should we take all the question
Let's take it
before?
as they come. So let's take it as they come. So let's like go with Alex's question now. So like, what's one legacy you would like to leave behind?
What legacy? I think I spoke about my legacy dying empty. So dying empty and majorly ensuring that one of the people I mirror myself after is one of the strongest global women icon
I know
in Africa,
Ibukun.
which is yes, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala. Most of the strong and powerful young ladies you know in Africa, majorly in Nigeria, because I know this is a global platform. Majorly in Nigeria, we build our what we mirror is living a kind of legacy like Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, where you were working, you are an African working for Africa, but at a global level. You were making systemic changes for Africa because you cannot make that change coming from a third world country until you are in those global platforms. So one of the legacy I want to leave behind is helping to build this system for Africa by implying myself and putting myself to the work to discipline myself, to get myself committed and learn, commit myself to learning to be able to get that level where I can make the changes and invent the changes in Africa by being on those global platforms. Trust me, because Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, she cannot make some drastic changes like the one she's going to do in Aba very soon. I don't know if you've read it in the
Yeah.
internet. She's going to do
Mm-hmm.
something in Aba soon. If she wasn't an African, she would not know that there's a need in Africa. And Africa or Nigeria needs something very, we have a very beautiful talent that is wasting in Aba. She would not know. But because she's an African, she understands the gap and the need African and for you to be in those global stages to be able to implement and move the needle where it's possible. So I don't want I don't want to leave any project behind or leave any applause behind. No intervention, because those interventions are temporary. You just do it and then it stops and stops. but I want to ensure that I put up financing structures, partnership structures, put all of these things, institutions, put them together to power Africa and to ensure that Africa become when they're talking about world power, Africa is on the table, and we're also making decisions with the world as well. I want to be remembered as someone who has helped to shift conversation from African dependency to sustainability. I want us to be able to live sustainably.
Love
Like,
that.
I don't know if you've heard this saying when you say, for Africa by Africa.
Africa, yeah.
So
Oh, of
that's what
course,
I
yeah.
want to ensure that Africa move from dependency to a sustainable living. So yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I mean, that's so profound because like I also like I'm doing exactly the same thing right now. And Okonjo Iweala is also one of my mentors as well, and one of the people that I want to model my life after. And I just also want to say this quickly. I mean, there's so much to say. Yeah, we have one more question on the chat, so I'm going to take
No,
that.
you can say what you have
Okay,
to
what I was
analyze
gonna just
what
like
you.
highlight, thank you. What I was gonna highlight is
Okay.
the power of connection as you were speaking. And I just wanted to like, bring that to the fore, connection and networking. All those things that we're talking about, like legacy, discipline, purpose, everything that we've talked about has to do with connection, like the rooms, the spaces. So there are some rooms that you would find yourself that will kill your ambition. There are some rooms
Yes,
that you find yourself that will propel you to your next level. So, as a
yes,
young
actually,
professional, it is very, very pertinent that you surround yourself with like minds. You surround yourself with people who would help you to attain that which you want because you can have all these things. I mean, you're not infallible at the end of the day, right? You're a human being, you have blood flowing through your vein. Meaning, a time will come when, if you surround yourself with dream killers, your dream will die. So, it is very, very important that you are strategic with the places that you connect yourself
position
to.
yourself.
And one of those places is the Young Professionals Network. Like here, we're all talking
Yes,
about growth, we're talking about career, we're talking about relationship, we're talking about how to improve yourself. Every day, if you keep on hearing things like that, before you know it, your core, your cognitive brain is shifting. You find yourself like, becoming better, doing better, dreaming bigger, right? But then if you find yourself in places that say, I beg you, it doesn't work, do this, it's not gonna work. What do you want to do? Before you know it, your life begins to take that shape as well. So do not play with spaces like this. Do not play with communities and networking like this. And you don't have to, there is no huge price except the price of time, like 1 hour of your time to be on a call like this. So that's what I just wanted to like highlight, the power of networking and community and connection, because you can have the flame, it can be burning, and then you just put yourself in these type of rooms or surround yourself with people who will help you douse it, and at the end of the day it's gone. So we'll take the question that we have in the chat box from Beaming Beam. Amazing session, Ma. How do one kill limiting beliefs? See, almost to the same thing I was just saying. How do one kill
yes, that's
limiting
why I was
beliefs?
actually clapping for you because it was
Oh,
actually in line with her
yeah,
question.
yeah. How do one kill limiting beliefs, and how can one get to see strategic community to volunteer to? I like that. And then the next question is, what gave you that spark to do what you're doing now and not a regular 8 to 5 practicing nurse shift since you study nursing? Love that. Over to
Okay,
you.
our internet is breaking a little, but I'll try my best to ensure that it doesn't affect my flow. So let's start with the limiting belief. I think that was why I was like, you got it, like clock it, you got it,
Okay.
you already started saying, responding to the question already. So one thing I want to say to you, Beaming Beam, is limiting limiting belief only survive in environment that you have no exposure. Only in environments that you have no exposure for, that you have no evidence and no expanded thinking around. When you've not expanded your thinking to a certain limit, or you don't have an evidence to prove that this is possible, there are possibilities. When you are not in that kind of environment, Nancy, That is where limiting belief comes in. But if your mind is open, Nancy, if your mind tells you that, wow, there is evidence, this person is doing it, it's just, I'm a year older than the person, this person is doing it, then I can do it.
Mhm.
It's only when you are in an environment where there is no exposure, where there is no evidence, where there is no expanded thinking, that is where you start thinking small. That's when you start thinking, oh, I can't do this, or I can do this. So I think what helped me is I changed my environment. I told you I finished studying University of Benin and I had to leave. I changed my environment because first off, I knew that if I want to thrive in the public health space, my domain is Abuja. You have the World Bank, you have embassies, you have developments, international DFIs, you have multilateral organization, the UN House, everything is here. If I was an entrepreneur, I should be looking at Lagos or Aba or anywhere that I know that entrepreneurship is thriving. So you have to be in an environment that you don't think small, that you don't see yourself as small, an environment that exposes you and stretches you beyond your imagination. When I came here, I was just mere wishing. I said, God, in my first year of coming into Abuja, I want to work with an international government organization. And who knows, I had never gotten, the only exposure I had was ISEC. I'm working, of course, working with the governor. I had never worked with any, okay, by proxy, I worked with development organization, but not directly. But I just told myself I want to work with development organization when I get here. And immediately I got here, God, as God may have it, there was a consultancy opportunity that came up with UN Women, and I took it. And I worked with UN Women for, say, 3 months. And I saw that, oh my God, it is possible. It is possible. And I started putting myself in those kind of rooms. I got the connection, watered my relationships with them, conversations. I'm constantly in those rooms. I'm constantly in those engagements where I want to be. I need to be. You get, do the scary things repeatedly. And when you think, oh, I'm not qualified, ask yourself, what skill do I actually lack? What are the skills that I need to put put into myself? What are the skills I need to learn? I beg your pardon. If there is none, then you just know that those beliefs in your head are just emotional. You have to keep building your competence. The other day, I went to learn agentic AI. It's not because I want to use AI to be doing so, because I need. That is the thing in. That's the current thing. I don't want to be like those old and archaic people that the world is moving. Please pardon me, this is this is actually a social
Okay.
platform. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't want to be those
Yeah.
kind of people that feel, oh, I don't want to learn AI because this, because that. See, my dear, the world will leave you behind. So it's important that you upskill yourself and you keep growing and building competence so that you can silence that insecurity that comes to your mind. Another thing, you have to do the scary things repeatedly. It's when you do the scary thing repeatedly that those limiting belief and thoughts will start going out. Like you said, Barack Obama's words. When he got into those rooms, he was like, oh, those things that he was like, oh, that looks like the big
Oh,
thing.
big
Like the
thing.
first time I went into the World Bank office, I was like, because my mentor actually is one of the directors at the World Bank, and I was like, is this the World
World
Bank?
Bank.
World Bank in quotes that
And then
everybody's
let me tell you
clamoring
something.
about. And that was when I started telling myself that in the next 5 years, I will be in one of the DFI institutions, whether
And
the
let me
African
tell you
Development
something,
Bank
Ruth.
or the Asian Development Bank or the World Bank. You get?
Let me say something
So,
regarding what you just said about like AI. Remember, I said I went to DC recently, and we would
yes.
think, oh, AI is so bad. In the US State Department, they use AI. They have their own AI. So like don't say,
Mm.
oh, I don't want to do AI because you feel like, oh, it makes you the world will leave you behind. I see AI
The
as,
world, my
like
dear, the
before the
world will
before
leave you
before washing machine,
behind.
people were washing their clothes with their hands.
With
People
their
before dishwashers,
hands.
people were using their hands to before vacuum cleaners, before blenders, people were grinding food on a grinding stone. But like the world kept on evolving. Now we have dishwashers, we have
Evolving.
washing
And it
machines.
doesn't
And
make
that's
you
what AI
lazy. It
is.
doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't.
Yeah,
Some
it
people feel,
makes
oh,
you more
it's gonna
impactful.
it's gonna
Yeah.
make my brain feel lazy. One of the things I
That
got
is
from
if
my
you
teacher is
use
during my
it, if you use
AI
it wrongly.
properly. One of the things I learned from my teacher is if you're not a domain expert, like domain expert, you don't know a specific field and you're using AI, you don't know how to use it. It
Period.
will just give you generic responses.
Yeah.
But if you are a domain expert, you know the right words, you know the
Mm-hmm.
right tools. If you're an M&A expert, you're talking about Copo Collect tools, you're talking about DHI tool, you're using terminologies as an expert,
Expert.
and it will be able to give you
Jargons.
better responses and
Mm-hmm.
better workflow. So back to her question, I think that's the last question, um, about
What gave you the
volunteering, and
spark?
then
Yeah.
what gave me the spark. So for volunteering, how can one identify strategic communities to volunteer with? Okay. Not all volunteering is equal. I think during the course of my conversation earlier, I talked about strategic volunteering. It is very important to know where you want to go. First of all, self-awareness. When you are self-aware, you know. For me, I knew that I want to be in global health. I knew I don't want to do clinical nursing. I wanted to be a public health nurse. So I was volunteering in things that has to do with health. I was volunteering in things that had to do with public health, development space. I was volunteering in those aspects. At first, I started with anything in the development space, whether climate, education, I was just going anywhere. But then I started tailoring it to health, things that has to do with women empowerment. So I am in groups, strategic groups. Take, for instance, I'm in Women in Global Health, Women in Public Health Leadership in Africa. I'm also in Women in Global Health Network in Nigeria. I am in those communities not because I just want to be in a community, not because, oh, I want to help. So one thing that young people approach volunteering as, they always want to help. Oh, I want to help. Volunteering is not about helping people. Volunteering is about how can I grow? How can I grow? How can I best position myself in this community, and then I would grow? What can I learn from this? So that's how I strategically position myself in terms of volunteering. So some days for the past 3 years, I've been attending the NESG conference, and I told myself that this conference, the caliber of people that come to this conference are very, very high. And I'm a partnership person. How can I develop myself and volunteer to be among the people that would put together this conference? And at the end of the day, I would grow myself, I would expand my network, and I'll be able to leverage this as an opportunity. That is strategic volunteering. I
Thank
found
you.
that
Yeah.
there is a gap. I found an opportunity, a platform that can fill that gap, and I closed it with volunteering. Not
Yeah.
just saying, oh, how can I help? What can I do? It
Mhm.
has to be very strategic. And then lastly, what gave me this back?
Mhm.
This one is very personal, very, very personal. So studying nursing gave me proximity to people's pain. Studying nursing just put me at that position where I saw healthcare from the ground level, where I saw people suffering, people not having access to good clinic facility, people not mothers bleeding and having serious hemorrhages and their children dying, high mortality and maternal rates is happening. I understood what a broken system looks like.
Mhm.
But then I also realized something early, Nancy, that treating patients is powerful, it's important. But strengthening the systems that serves thousands of patients in primary healthcare centers, in hospitals across the tertiary healthcare institutions is more transformative. And I found out that if I'm able, and I began to actually see that financing is the problem, the source of most of this. And then I started walking around, I started doing my research. One thing you have to know is you have to do your research.
Mhm.
So until I used to speak with, I speak to my partner, and I tell him that he says, oh, let's do a research about this. Let's find out. He always says, let's do a research. If we don't know something, you do a research. If you don't know about something, you do the research and find out. Then I started seeing things around resource mobilization. I was like, it's interesting. I think I will do that. Financing, health financing, partnership. Oh, this is what I do, stakeholder management, that's partnership. And I started connecting the dots,
Yeah.
policy space. This is what I do. So whether nurse supplies, whether in the clinic function, whether in communities, access to water, all these things, the spark actually came in when I realized I was not just wired to deliver care, but also to strengthen the system of care. So it's not
Thank
about me
Yeah.
rejecting nursing, Nancy. It's about expanding the impact
Goodness.
of healthcare services. So some people
Thank
are called
you.
to bedside services, while some people are called to actually system design and system strengthening. But both of them are noble, and I discovered mine through curiosity, like I
Curiosity.
told you, researching, and then of course courage and pushing the boundaries. Yeah,
Thank you
thank you.
so much. Thank you so much. And the thing about this is that we can be here the whole day and we will continue speaking. We will not repeat ourselves and we will continue like adding value. So I just want to say thank you so much, Ruth, for coming here today. And just to reiterate what you said, being for you to avoid limiting beliefs, you have to surround yourself with like people who think like you, number one. And number two, you have to have evidence of like your belief that has survived or that has succeeded. All right, you can see Ruth talking about Okunjo Iweala, like, that is like a beacon, like you said, if she can do it, I can do it. And then within your own surrounding as well, like start to point people who have survived in the area that you want to, be in, and then use that as like a platform to say, I can do it as well. And then you talked about like environment, Ruth. I also want to quickly say that environments do not mean your physical environment alone. It could be your emotional environment. It could be your psychological environment. So also like being aware of the things that you consume, like when you go on social media, what are you consuming? Social media is a very, very powerful tool. And that's what you can use to like break away from those limiting beliefs, right? But it can also be a tool that limits your belief. It depends on what you're consuming. There's so much to say, but like we're not going to like dwell on that because I know Ruth has done justice to it. So thank you all so much for joining the call today. Once again, this is the Young Professionals Network, and I apologize that we are 30 minutes out above time, but I mean, I really enjoyed and I'm learning so much, and I feel like it's something that we can, forgive. But just to let you all know that this is the Young Professionals Network, and our core goal, our core purpose is to create environments like this where young professionals can come and share their journey with us so that we're able to like learn. We are intentionally creating that environment, that community where we are all pushing ourselves, we are all holding our hands together, like, to attain the height of whatever career or whatever goal that we have set out for our lives. So I enjoin everyone on this call to please follow the Young Professionals Network on all social media platforms. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, and we also have a YouTube channel where we post like recording of the videos that we've done. So please be engaged, stay involved, because like we're all holding our hands together. We are, like Ruth said, we are all still figuring life out. So we have not gotten to our paradigm yet. We have not gotten to where we're going to. We're still on the journey. So whilst we're on the journey, we want to, because like my purpose, my goal in life is I want to carry people along. I want to, show people the way. Like say, we can do this, guys. Come on, let's go. And this is what the YPN stands for. So once again, please stay connected and stay involved. We have so much more in store for us. Like I have another speaker confirmed. He's also a global speaker who will be coming in 2 weeks from now. I try to do it bi-weekly instead of weekly. So, but we have another speaker confirmed for in the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that as well. And we also have like multiple speakers, and all these speakers are young professionals. They have not gotten to like the paradigm or the height of their careers. They're still navigating life, navigating career. So it is even better to learn from them and learn about their journeys as well. And if you have questions, if you have, things that you'd like to say or you want to like get involved, you can volunteer with the YPN as well. YPN is a place, meaning being, if you want
Yeah,
to start
please.
volunteering, and it adds to
Please
your resume.
volunteering.
Yeah, it adds to your resume. So,
Yes.
like people, employers, when you're applying to positions, like you might know, they might say they look for 5 years of work experience. But the trick to closing those gaps is when you have like an extensive volunteer experience. I know there are some people on this call who can actually speak to volunteering and how it has helped them in their careers as well. So, like volunteering is very, very powerful. Strategic volunteering, even more powerful. So you can start volunteering with the Young Professionals Network. So thank you so much. Thank you
Yes,
very much,
please.
Ruth. In the absence of
Thank
any
you
other
so much. Thank you
questions,
for having me.
do you have any like final words in like maybe 30 seconds that you can just like share with us? Like any final thing?
The moment I start talking, I'm just not going to stop, and
Okay.
we've overshot our time. So
Yeah.
I think I've said enough, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me, Young Professional Network, and thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I hope that these words would actually mean something to somebody and would actually um, make some meaning and leave some impact in the life of
It
someone.
already did.
Thank you.
It has impacted my life, and I'm very excited. It has
It
impacted
did
the lives of
impact me,
everyone
even
on
me
the
speaking.
yeah.
I
Because
impacted
yeah,
my own self.
yeah, we're all
Thank you.
impacted.
Thank
So
you so
not hoping,
much.
we're not hoping it impacts anyone anymore. It has already
Thank
impacted.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
Thank you so much,
Nancy. Yes.
everyone, for joining. Please, please,
Thank
please get
you.
engaged with the Young Professionals Network. We have so much more in store for everyone. Thank you once again. And thank
Thank
you, Ruth.
you.